Okay, so Auden Larratt has faced Artem Taranenko and has been defeated 3-0 in what was really described, can only really be described, as a pretty dominant performance from Artem Taranenko. It went as I thought it would go. Auden took the hand and wrist, but Artem Taranenko didn't care. As soon as he felt stable, he drove sideways, getting the victory. The first round, the closest round of all of them, where Auden actually got hand control and smiled directly at Artem as though he was going to have sealed the victory, thinking it was all done. But Artem, as we know, great side pressure puller, someone who is a student of Todd Hutchins, just didn't care that his wrist was slightly bent back, drove sideways for a pretty easy pin. There was an attempt at a desperation move, which was in that illegal shoulder below the table position, didn't matter. Artem pinned him anyway, and then proceeded from there to pretty much win the next two rounds even more comfortably. Now, this is an interesting development for Auden. It's for him personally, it is one of those things where he realizes now, okay, there's more to it. I made the statement that I believed Artem was the first legitimate arm wrestler that Auden had faced in a professional super match. I've faced Artem myself before, so I know what he is capable of. And I suspected that this was going to happen, and it went exactly as I thought it did. Credit to Auden for taking the match against a more experienced and more conditioned arm wrestler in Artem Taranenko. But this will be a big turning point for Auden. And it's very similar to a turning point that I had in 2015 when I faced Justin Bishop. In that match, I took Justin Bishop's wrist 5 out of the 6 rounds in the 6-round super match, yet I lost 6-0. Very similar. I cracked the wrist. He didn't care. He just drove sideways. And I remember for me, after that, I went into a big season of training side pressure, training base power, things like that, and really started to feel the game. And that's one thing that you'll notice amongst top rollers. The more specialist top roller you are, the more you tend to feel in your early days like hand control is everything. I was one of those people, I fell for the trap thinking, it's all hand, it's all hand, it's all hand. Because you disengage people and they just can't match your side pressure. And then you run into someone like Auden just did. Artem Taranenko, for me, Justin Bishop, where it didn't matter. And you realize, oh, I had all the hand control that I wanted, and yet he just drove sideways. So this is exactly what happened to Auden, and I'm sure he will go away and try to fix it. Now, I also wanted to just talk about, generally speaking, I wanted to talk about the weakness of the Larratts. Now, when I say the weakness of the Larratts, I'm talking about their style, what it is vulnerable to them, for them in their opponents. If you think of the way Devin beat Devin failed to beat Levan, it's much the same characteristics. Devin did better against Levan than Auden did against Artem, but it's still the same problem. The problem isn't hand control. Both guys got hand control, but yet both guys got pinned. And it really lends itself to say, even though these guys are tall, even though these guys are so successful with hand control based arm wrestling, there is still a very significant need to have base power. Base power really does form the platform from which your hand control can launch all of its attacks. Without base power, you cannot win matches. Todd Hutchins, I remember speaking with him in length when I stayed at his place once, where he said, it doesn't really matter where your hand goes. If your hand is here and you have 50 kilos of side pressure and I have 60 kilos of side pressure with my hand here, then I don't care if you take my hand to there, I'm still gonna pin you. And at the end of the day, that is what matters, because you do need to get your opponent down to the side. So for both Devin and for both Auden, the solution is base power. These guys have such specialist hand control. They have such specialist ability to dictate the terms of height in the rising, of dragging and rolling. These guys are great. But for them both to get the victory, they don't need more hand control. They don't need more hand control. They need more Georgian style, base power, where they're just through the bicep, through the pec, through the shoulder. Some traditional bodybuilding, powerlifting style strength will be a huge factor. And for me, I have had a similar journey where I recognized that I needed that. And what I have experienced in that is, let's say you reach a ceiling in your potential in your hand. You train specifics all the time, single 1RMs on hand specific stuff, and you spend all this time and your hand feels great. You start to feel that curve flattening out on your potential gains, and you really reach the ceiling of your potential. To stay in hand specifics from there really doesn't help you. Now, interestingly, if you go and say, look at the bench press, if you say, does bench press help in arm wrestling? No, it doesn't. And Auden Larratt is proof that you don't need a huge bench to be an elite arm wrestler, because he doesn't have a big bench at all. But within yourself, whoever you are as an athlete, if wherever your hand is, if one of the best ways I've found in my time, 13 years as an arm wrestler, that I improved was to increase my base power. And when I increased my base power, the effect on the table was in fact that my hand felt better. I didn't feel like I was suddenly using my pecs and shoulders anymore, but people's hands seemed to crumble because of the static threat that I would generate through my arm and my pec and shoulders. So increasing your base power, increasing your bench press, increasing your overhead press, increasing your bicep curl, increasing your deadlift, all those things really form the basis from which you can launch your hand-specific potential. If you don't increase your base, your hand-specific potential is going to run out, and you're going to see more and more matches go the way that Auden just went against Artem. It's a pity that he lost, because I would have liked to face him. I'd been talking with the Larratt family for a while, and if he beat Artem, I was going to step in. But he didn't lose, he lost. So I don't think that I will be anytime soon hearing from the Larratt family saying, let's do it. But Auden, look, maybe in 12 months time or something like that, once you've got some base power, we can face and we can test you out against another actual arm wrestler. But well done, Artem Taranenko. Went exactly as I thought. Side pressure. I know he calls himself the top roll king, but he is a student of the side pressure king, Todd Hutchins, and we saw that on great display today. Anyway, guys, that's my thoughts on it all. Let me know what you think about the match. Let me know what you think about the Larratts and their arm power. Do they need more, or can they just keep doing what they're doing, all this specific stuff, and conquer the world? And anything else that is on your mind, please hit the subscribe button, like, share, all that sort of stuff.